What's up, everybody? My name is G. Allen, and I am your host of All the Talk Podcast. Welcome to the very first episode of our podcast, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today talking about my views on just about everything. That's what this podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about all the talk I can talk about, pretty much. And so I'm going to be talking about politics, I'm going to be talking about sports, I'm going to be talking about religion, I'm going to be talking about news, and I'm going to mix in some comedy with it as well. And so I'm really excited to get this show. I got the idea from numerous guys like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, guys who just have awesome shows, and I'm so excited to be able to do one for my own because I'm a teenager and I haven't really seen any teenagers host podcasts where it's get on and talk about whatever's on their mind. And so today, I'm going to start off our show talking about the NFL. In light of the recent events, we're going to zone in on Kareem Hunt specifically. I just don't understand why Kareem Hunt would do what he did, which is abuse a woman. I mean, I don't care. People say it was just a little shove. It wasn't that bad at all. But I really just don't agree with that. I just can't see why the man would lay his hands on another woman. Or on a woman. I don't get that. He's making millions of dollars. He's got plenty of baby mamas. Plenty of chicks he can go after. And I don't know why he would ruin his whole entire career when there's been so many incidents of people doing this before him where he would just ruin his career, especially when you have a top-notch player like Kareem Hunt and a team that's making a championship run like the Chiefs. I just can't understand it. I don't get why he would do it. I don't know what got in his head for him to do it. I mean, I don't know if she didn't make good sandwiches. She got mad at him when he called her woman. But whatever the deal is, I just don't get it. I don't get why Kareem Hunt would do this. I know Ray Rice is sitting at home clapping. I mean, he probably called him and told him they should have hit her in the face. Poor Ray. He was a great running back, but he was no Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt just ruined his career. He's probably never, ever going to get a chance to play in the NFL again. And that's just really sad. I hate to see that happen. So rest in peace, my boy Kareem Hunt. I'm sorry to all the guys who had him in fantasy at Jackson passed away. I'm very sorry. Rest in peace to your boy. Next on the list, I actually have a news outbreak. Y'all probably shouldn't take this as true, but I think it's very reliable. So in light of the Redskins' loss of both of their quarterbacks to broken legs in the horrendous trash can play of Mark Sanchez, I mean, let's talk about that guy for a second. How bad is he? I mean, he's horrible. After the butt fumble, the dude I think he lost all his confidence. Doesn't know how to play quarterback anymore. I mean, on Monday Night Football this week, he was throwing balls, screen passes, or just little check downs straight into the ground. I mean, the guy's terrible. And so I've actually heard some rumors from some inside sources that Brett Favre is coming back. You heard it here first, everyone. Brett Favre is going to come back. And apparently the contract he's negotiating with the Redskins is an if-then contract. So the if in the contract is if Brett Favre can play in his Wrangler jeans on the field, then he'll play for the Redskins. I know he looks great in those Wrangler jeans. He could probably run and throw in those things. I don't know if it's true, but we're going to see what happens. Maybe they'll sign him, and maybe they'll let him wear the Wranglers. And I'm sure they can make some Indian Wranglers. Just slap a little chief head on there. Have the Wrangler sign on. It's very good advertising. I bet they could work something out, not going to lie. So that's all I've got for the NFL today. Now it's time to move on to the fun part of the show. This whole show today, episode 1, is labeled Free Speech, Trigger Warnings, and Safe Spaces. So to start off this fun topic, I'm going to read the First Amendment, which part of it applies to free speech. Pretty much all of it applies to free speech, actually. And so the First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, I said it, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And so my belief on free speech is actually very, very libertarian, probably. I believe that you can say whatever you want to say under the law. You have the right to say whatever you want to say. I mean, if you want to say racist things, you can say racist things. If you want to say offensive things, you can say offensive things. I mean, if you want to talk about sports, you can talk about sports. If you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, you can say it. The government can't prevent you to say things like that. And I think when we hand this power to the government to dictate what we can and what we can't say, it's very, very dangerous, because when the government gets control of its citizens' lives, then we're puppets to them. I mean, you look at government in the past, like Hitler, like Nazi Germany, Hitler, and Stalin, and all the dictatorships in World War II. These people, you see the leaders limiting what the people are saying, and that's just a very dangerous place to be in, because you're being controlled, basically. I mean, you're a robot to the government. That's what it boils down to. And so there are some limits on free speech, however, where, I mean, there actually are laws that say, call to action laws that say, if you say to people that if you see so-and-so in the street, run them over with a car, or I'm going to run you over with a car. Like, you can't say that. Or you can't walk into a movie theater and yell fire. I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, if you want to, you can, but you'll get arrested. So, along with free speech, we have this whole concept in America today of political correctness, and I think it has hurt our country more than it's helped. I mean, you can't say anything that's not politically correct in this country. I mean, that's absurd. And Americans think so too. According to the Cato Institute, 71% say that this whole idea of political correctness has hurt our country and limited what they've said, what they've wanted to say, because they felt that if they said what they believed, then they were going to be shut down, or they were afraid to lose their job, things like that. And it's happened before. And on the other hand, you have 28% of Americans that say that this whole idea of political correctness has actually helped our society. And so this is a very dangerous place to be in as an American. I mean, people are silenced. Literally, people are silenced for saying what they believe. I mean, go look at a history book. Go read the history textbook. That's like one of the number one things that lead to totalitarianism. I mean, just absolute government is when people are being shut down for saying what they believe. I mean, that's what one of the whole reasons our country was founded, so people can say what they believe in. I mean, it's just absurd that this whole concept of political correctness is just limiting what people are saying. I don't think it's a good thing. And another poll was done by the Cato Institute on the outspokenness of strong conservatives and the outspokenness of strong liberals, and 76% of strong conservatives say that they feel limited in their speech. They feel that if they say what they believe in, that there are going to be consequences to what they say, and people are going to physically hurt them for what they're saying. It's happened. People getting run out of restaurants. I mean, look at Tucker Carlson, people banging on his door at his private property for his beliefs. And on the other hand, you have 69% of liberals that say there's nothing that's happened. They feel like there's no limit on their speech. I mean, that's just the bias of our country today. The media, universities. I mean, liberals are embraced for what they are saying, even though it's their own personal belief, and a lot of the things they say don't have any facts behind them. It's just feelings. I really like what Ben Shapiro said a couple of years ago: facts don't care about your feelings. And so, moving from free speech to hitting on more of a student issue, the issue of trigger warnings and safe spaces. And so these whole concepts of trigger warnings and safe spaces, I think, are ridiculous on college campuses and high school campuses alike. Because there's three main reasons why I would say that these things are a joke. And the first one being that there is no such thing as a safe space or a trigger warning in the real world. The whole entire job of the educational system is to prepare young adults to go out into the real world and be successful and have the opportunity to be successful in the workforce. Our educational system is failing right now. Because you know why? They're saying that these students are entitled. They're saying that they deserve safe spaces. They're saying that if their feelings are hurt, then they don't have to listen, or they're only teaching one opinion. And so when they go out into the workforce and they're seeing all these different opinions, they break down and they go and live on the street and work at McDonald's and complain. They don't even work at McDonald's. They live on the street, take welfare, and complain because they majored in women's studies. I mean, it's a complete joke. I don't get it. People need to get over the fact that they aren't always right. And I know I'm not always right. I know my opinions are my own. And if you have an opinion, it's backed with stronger facts in mind, then the reasonable thing to do is to convert to your side. I mean, I'm a reasonable person. I'm a logical person. And I would say that, just like Ben Shapiro said, facts don't care about my feelings. And so the second reason I would say trigger warnings and safe spaces are a joke, I would say that students are missing out on learning topics. And so history itself sometimes is very, very offensive. I mean, man has done some very, very bad things to each other. I mean, look at World War I, look at World War II, look at the Holocaust. That's really, really graphic and it's really, really offensive. But the whole reason we learn these things and talk about them is so that they don't repeat themselves. So if you neglect history and say that's offensive, so I'm not going to learn it, you go live your life without knowing that 13 million people were killed by Germany during World War II. I mean, it's just crazy that people will neglect history just because it's a hard thing to talk about. I know it's hard. I know it's tough to look at these images of people being starved to death and being gassed, but that doesn't mean you can opt out of the lesson and go on your whole entire life without knowing about these things, because the college students of today are going to be the political leaders of tomorrow. And if you have people like the Armenian genocide deniers who claim that one of the worst genocides in the world to ever happen is fake, or you have the people over in the Middle East who deny that the Holocaust was real, it's going to repeat itself. These incidents are going to repeat themselves over time if we teach that they didn't happen, or you say that you can deny if they happened. I mean, it's just totally, totally false. And I think that these trigger warnings and safe spaces on these history issues especially just shouldn't be allowed. While there is some warning that teachers probably should give to students, if something is going to be really graphic, if it's going to have language, I think that's a fair way to say you can offer a trigger warning, but you can't offer a trigger warning and then say you can go to your safe space, or you can do a different lesson that's less offensive. I just don't see that as something that should happen. And lastly, the whole reason why these trigger warnings and safe spaces fall apart is because of how subjective the word triggered is. When you say triggered, you'd say that it's triggering a mental illness, a traumatic stress disorder like PTSD. But a lot of these students don't have that. A lot of these students don't have those intensive issues. They just have this mental issue where they can't accept that there are things in the world that they don't like. There are things in the world that they don't agree with. There are people in the world that don't agree with them. It's just simple. I don't know why people can't get over it in their heads, because we teach in our world today, or in our country today, that people are entitled to everything. And that's just not the case. In this country, you're not entitled to anything except your rights under the Constitution and the opportunity that you have to live the American dream and become successful. And so that's my whole beliefs on this whole safe spaces, freedom of speech, and trigger warnings. I think that we should be able to say what we want to say, and college students shouldn't be able to opt out of hard lessons to learn just because they don't want to hear about it. And so I'm going to close on that note. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you liked the show. And so if you liked the show, give me a like. If you didn't like the show, you can dislike it. That's fine. But I would please ask y'all to subscribe. And if you didn't like what I said today, you can leave a comment. And if you know me and you didn't like what I said, you can come on the show. We can talk about it. And if you agree with what I said and you know me, you can come on the show and we'll talk about it. And so make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the dislike button if you're a loser. But anyway, G. Allen with the All the Talk podcast signing.